All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss show. And in today's episode, I'm not tired. It's 2 in the morning right now. I should be asleep, but yeah, for some reason, I'm not tired. But I seen Diddy trending on Twitter, and I was like, nah, let me see what this is all about. Let me see why he's trending and stuff. And yeah, it was one video because this is everybody talking about this documentary about Diddy that's on Netflix. Crazy documentary. Just in the episodes, I think I'm on episode 3 right now. And yeah, it's like it talks the first 2 episodes kind of talking on like his upbringing, and then when he created him and his friend had created Bad Boys, the record label, and then Tupac's killing, Biggie's killing. I mean, it was some stuff where I was like, wow, like it's new information to me, because like there was the one situation, I guess, like for somebody that doesn't want to watch the documentary. I haven't finished all of it yet, but probably by the time when this episode comes out, I might be finished with it. But if not, like so far what I've seen, I mean, it's some crazy stuff. Like that was something that I didn't know, was that he put together like this celebrity basketball game, or it was like a game, or it was a basketball game, but there was a lot of celebrities that was going to be there. I don't know if they were overall playing or what the case was going to be, but anyways, a bunch of people had showed up. And I mean, there was like the way that they were describing it, it seemed like it was like a percentage of the city has showed up to this area and stuff. So anyways, it was like a high percentage. Like it was a lot, it was a lot. But anyways, it got to the point where so many people had showed up that they started rushing down. I think it was to a floor or something where they thought it was gonna lead out to the I think it was to the court. And then, but that was the problem, was that the doors, instead of them opening out, they opened in. So they're thinking, oh, if we push up against the doors, like it's just gonna flatten whoever it is that shows up to them doors first. And that's what ended up happening, that people died that day. It was like, I think they say it was like 9 people that had died. And I'm like, man, and that's the thing where I think, like, I'm gonna say a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but it was something that they had talked about in the documentary too. Like that's one thing about it. I think after this documentary, I think a lot of people, the conversation around Tupac's death, it has a different tone to it now, But anyways. But yeah, it just, it seemed like he just moved on with his life. Like after those 9 people died, because something like that with me, I'm like, fam, I don't even want to like accidentally bump into a person, like there's been times where I'm like, I done accidentally done bumped into people, done hit people, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm sorry and stuff, and then like I apologize, like, but I'm like making sure, I'm like, okay, they good, cool, all right, going on about my business and things. Like even when that, like when you be off up in the store and it be them kids, they for some reason they holding their parents' hand, they just be running around, and I'm like having to stop myself, like literally stop my whole body from moving, because yeah, these kids, they get to running and stuff, and then it's like, but I'm not trying to like knee them in the head or bump into them and things. Like I'll be making sure of that and stuff. So but anyways, yeah, pretty much the point that I'm trying to make is that I'm always worrying about somebody's safety, so anyways, but yeah, it just seemed like with Diddy, he just moved on. And so no, that was the crazy part about that situation, was that his mom had asked him, like, are you cut out for this? Like, I guess upset with what had happened. Out of all of the different things, I guess, like somebody, because if somebody were to ask me, like, pause the documentary and be like, what do you think is going to happen next? I probably would have said something along the lines like, oh, he's gonna, obviously he continued on with his career. I mean, he probably was all like, yeah, I'm ready for this. It was a mistake, blah, 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 and he goes on with his life and things, like how we've seen it today. Nothing could have prepared me for what my ears were hearing. So his mom asked him that, right? Now, most kids, I guess, that you having a conversation, even if it's like on some stuff where it's a movie, I still will feel uncomfortable doing it, because I'm like, it feels weird, it feels weird. But Diddy instead of, just answering the question and stuff, puts hands on his mom and calls her out her name. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, time out. What do you mean he put hands on his mom? And so, no, the funny thing is that I'm watching it. First time watching it, my ears hadn't really processed what I was hearing. So I watched it the second time with my dad, because my dad, he wanted to check it out too. So I was like, all right, cool. We sit down, we watch the episode together. I heard the same thing. And I'm like, so I did hear that correctly. He did put hands on his mom. Okay, so, wow. So that he's somebody that just, my thing is this. If somebody puts hands on their mom and calls them out their name, how do you think this individual is going to feel about somebody that's not even like blood related to him? This is literally the woman that birthed him. And he puts hands on her. So my thing is this. If he puts hands on her, he definitely has something to do with Tupac's death. So no, they actually talk about it in the so that's who was talking about it. Was he wasn't the shooter, but he was the shooter's nephew, because a lot of people are like, wait, who shot? I guess for those that don't know and stuff, like, wait a minute, who shot Tupac? So it was this gang member that he had fought the same night he got shot. I guess for those that don't know the backstory on that, so yeah, Tupac was at this Mike Tyson fight, and then before the that day, there was a different day where Tupac, the record label that he was a part of, Death Row Records, there were some gang members that was a part of that record label where they were at a mall and they got into it with the guy that shot and killed Tupac and his gang members. So it was like a blood and Crips thing, because Death Row Records was a blood based like it was like a lot of bloods hanging out at Death Row Records, because Suge Knight himself was a blood, and then the guy that shot and killed Tupac, he was a Crip. So anyways, then that's just talking on his death. There's the other shooting where I'm like, yeah, Diddy might have had something to do with that, and it's really messed up, because I believe that Biggie had genuinely cared about Tupac. But when you have somebody like Diddy in the picture, you can't have like Tupac as a friend. You can't, like, that's one of the most, I feel like that was the most dangerous thing that could have happened to Tupac, was being in the same area or vicinity, or just overall, like, knowing of Diddy, having it where it's like you guys got a mutual. That was like that's what had ultimately ended Tupac's life, was his association with Biggie, and then having it where Diddy he had a jealousy over Tupac. And I'm like, fam, the thing is this, I can't say that I'm in, the same ballpark as Diddy and Tupac and Biggie and Suge Knight and, guys like that and stuff. Like, but I will say that I'm an entertainer to an extent. Like, I'm a content creator and stuff. I've never looked at another content creator and been so, I guess, upset and jealous to where I'm like, I gotta do something to this person. I gotta end this person's life. My thing is this, I'm like, good for them. I'm like, it's even one of those things where I'm like, I remember it was like one of my biggest like haters on the internet and stuff. He surpassed me in subscribers, and it's one of those things I'm like, okay, that's cool, I guess. Like, people bringing it up to me and stuff, and I'm like, I don't really care. Like, and that's the thing. It's either I'm congratulating you or I just don't care. And with that situation, I just didn't care. I'm like, I got my own things to be working on. This is at the time when I was working in Seattle. I'm like, I ain't got time to be focused on stuff like that. I'm focused on me. I'm focused on what I got going on. I'm not focused on that. And that's the thing where it's like, I guess when you got a lot on your plate, it's either you got a lot on your plate or you're doing good for yourself. You ain't gonna be thinking about stuff like that. So that's why I'm like, man, it's something where when you see Diddy and you see how much he wanted to be like a boss and all that stuff, I'm like, fam, the way that he went about it, all wrong. It's like, you can't have it where it's like, oh, there's all these things that I'm getting, and so therefore that makes me a boss. No, that just makes you a guy with a lot of money. That's it. That's all that you are. I'm like, and there's a lot of people out there like that. They don't be carrying on like you. So that's why I'm like, man, it confuses the life out of me. Why he went down the route he went down. But anyways, getting back to the Tupac's situation. So the night he gets shot, he doesn't die right then and there. He ended up dying some days later. But anyways, he gets into a fight with the one of the gang members that had because it was a death row chain that was taken from one of the blood gang members. So anyways, they see the guy that was a part of the Crip gang that took the death row chain. Tupac sees him. Him and his entourage beats the guy down. And then they end up leaving, go back to the hotel. Tupac ends up changing into some different clothes, and then they were going to head over to this club called Club 662. So anyways, on the way there, I guess, yeah, Tupac's out the window, like saying hi to everybody, sees these girls, talking with the girls and stuff. The same guy that Tupac had fought, him and his uncle and two other gang members, they're in the car, like, looking for them, because they're like, no, we gonna handle this and stuff. So anyways, they head over to the club. They're waiting for Tupac and his entourage to show up. They never show up. So then I think that's what the uncle had said, that they were gonna go get something to eat. And so anyways, but then, yeah, that's when they seen Suge Knight and Tupac. They were in this BMW. And then they did a U-turn, pulled up beside on the side where Tupac was sitting at, shot Tupac multiple times. I think bullet fragment had hit Suge Knight in the head. And then, at that point, then that was that, you know, and then some days later, Tupac, he died because his injuries were, it was too bad. You know, you get shot in the chest multiple times and stuff. Like, I think they had to remove his lung, and then, yeah, it was bad. It was really bad for Tupac. And, it's one of those things where, but no, so how it got to that point where it's, because I know people are going to probably be all like, well, so wait a minute, why was the guy even out there in the first place? And I know some people will probably try to come to his defense where it's like, oh, well, it was a Mike Tyson fight. Everybody's going to be at a Mike Tyson fight. That is true. They most likely was there just to watch that Mike Tyson fight. But before that, Diddy did say, and it was at a party where it was all these different Crips that was there. Diddy had put $1 million bounty on both Suge Knight and it was like all together it was $1 million for both Suge Knight and Tupac. But I think he might just say like, hey, $1 million, kill these guys, you know. And so Suge Knight, he ended up living because, yeah, I think they were thinking that he got shot in the head, but it was a fragment that had shot him. Because, the guy, the nephew, he just sprayed into the car. So I imagine the bullet probably did hit a part of the car, which caused it to just shatter or explode. And then, yeah, one of the fragments hit Suge Knight in the head and stuff. But anyways... But, Diddy's at this party, and he announces it's at the party with all the different Crips. He was like, hey, $1 million on these guys' head. So he put a bounty on their head, and he got Tupac killed. And that's why I'm like, man, you know, it's one of those things where it's a... I guess, like, because people were like, I'm gonna say allegedly because I know people were like, wait a minute, that's a wild accusation and things. Yeah, but I'm like, in this documentary, maybe it's a documentary just to make Diddy look like a bad person. But I feel like that you kind of, when you're hearing so many different conversations where it fits with this same conversation, it's one of those things where I'm like, you're hearing it from multiple different people and they all got the same story. What's up with that? You know, so I'm like, I'm pretty sure that there's people that are telling this story where they don't even really care for Diddy like that, but they overall know that he has something. My thing is this: if he didn't put that $1 million bounty on Suge Knight and Tupac's head, he definitely has something to do with their killing. Yeah, he might not have been a trigger man, but he definitely had a say so or a motivation, something. He has something to do with with Tupac getting killed. So, anyways, then I know people are gonna probably be all like, was probably one of Suge Knight guys that killed Biggie. That could very well be true. I think at the end of the day, nobody doesn't really know who killed Biggie. It's always been a conversation where it's like, oh, this person did it, that person did it. Nobody really knows, I think, who killed Biggie. It might have just been a random guy. But anyways, but no, that was the messed up thing about Biggie, was that he didn't even want to be in LA the day that he got killed. So it was really messed up, because like Diddy, he's forcing Biggie to be out there in LA. And that was the thing. There was this video where I'm like, I've never seen a video of Biggie looking scared, and like, you know, like he was terrified. And that's the thing. You gotta remember, he's 24 years old. Like, he's not. He's new to this. He's new to this lifestyle. So you put this guy that's new to this lifestyle in an environment where it's like, fam, his life is in danger. I don't think Diddy understood that. Diddy was just thinking along the lines, oh, we killed Tupac, problem solved. No, that's not problem solved. That's a problem that just became an even more. My thing is this. Let's say it's on some business where Diddy was like, hey, you know what? I don't even care about this Tupac situation. He can say whatever and do whatever. I'm not going to feed into it. Doesn't feed into it. Who knows what the Biggie and Tupac situation would have been like. But I feel like that at the route that Diddy was going to, like, he still had a whole other dark side to him. So it probably definitely would have been on some stuff where Biggie would have been like, nah, I don't want to be a part of Bad Boys no more. And I'm going to just do my own thing or sign with another label. And, you know, and it probably would have been on some stuff where him and Tupac probably would have became friends again. And it's really messed up, where it's like, you see these two guys where it's like they were cool with each other at one point in time, got mixed in with the wrong people. Now they ain't cool with each other no more. And I'm like, man, you know, it's really messed up. It really is messed up. But then, yeah, but overall, getting back to a Biggie situation, he didn't even want to be in LA. And then, so yeah, Diddy, he forced them to be out there. One thing led to another. Next thing you know, Biggie is getting shot and killed. And I'm like, man, you know, Diddy, he's one of those guys. And then, so no, that was the part that really tripped me out about Biggie's situation. So he gets shot and killed. Diddy is like all up on this interview thing, talking about like, oh, we gotta you know, make this a big funeral and all this other stuff. Like, we gotta go all out for Biggie and things. Had Biggie pay for his own funeral. So I guess for those that don't understand that, like, wait a minute, what do you mean he had him pay for his own funeral? It was a conversation before. No, what he did was go through Biggie's estate, used his money. This man that's no longer here with us used his money to pay for his own funeral. You know, when I heard that, I was like, man, you know, and then that right there told me that Diddy didn't even care about. All my life, I'm over here thinking that Biggie and Diddy were like the best of friends. Like, if somebody would have asked me this question last year, do you think Biggie and Diddy were best friends? I would have said yes. I'm like, they were definitely best friends. I'm like, I mean, the way, but then that was the one video that I seen, and that's what ended up causing me to do this podcast episode. There is this, so this guy on Twitter, he posted this meme of himself where he was dancing like Diddy, but no, so it was maybe because Diddy, or no, Biggie had, there's just way too many names I'm trying to remember and say, and I'm not trying to mess up and all that stuff. If I do mess up, I apologize. But anyways, Biggie had died in March. He died in March of 1997. And then it was in September of that same year, Diddy is at this like award show. I don't know if it was BET, MTV. It was one of those award shows. And then there's that song that I'll Be Missing You. It's the song that he had did. He comes up out of there dancing to this song. And this is supposed to be a tribute song to Biggie. And, you know, and I'm sitting down thinking, I'm like, fam, I just remember the times where I had, like, there was, like, friends of mine, like, there was one of my friends that I was close with that had, he passed, like, he got, shot and killed. It was like a robbery gone wrong, situation. And, I remember that was, like, one of the, like, that was the first time I had lost, like, a close friend to me. And it messed me up. Like, and I know I ain't even gonna lie. Like, from that time forward, because it was on New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve doesn't even feel the same no more. Like that's how much of an effect that my friend's death done had on me, where New Year's Eve isn't even the same. Like I can't celebrate New Year's Eve. Like it really, like I'll celebrate it, but it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel the same. But I just remember like when on that day, like the day when like it was other like mutual friends, when they announced that the childhood friend that he died. Fam, I was depressed. I ain't even gonna lie. Like I was flat out depressed. Like it was my family. I remember they were trying to kind of just get me, like up and happy and all that. And it was weird, like it was just a weird time, because then on top of that too, it was like my grandfather, he passed away. It was the month prior. Yeah, so it was like my grandfather passed away in November, then a childhood friend of mine's passed away in December, same year. And I'm like, fam, I'm not up dancing, doing backflips, any of this other stuff. So I'm like, I'm trying to keep my mind busy, but I'm like, I just feel like that the way that, Diddy, he didn't care about Biggie. I feel like he probably did to an extent, but at the same time, it wasn't like how you see. Okay, so a situation I can think of is, I remember, and they're probably still affected by his death till this day, but the friends of XXXTentacion, you can see the difference between when he was alive and after he passed. Because when he was alive, you seen that these guys were together. You seen that they were putting out music. You seen that they were friends. They were collective. They were hanging out and all this other stuff. After XXXTentacion had passed, I think Craig Zinn, he doesn't even really post on social media like that. I mean, like, they all, like, are still doing their thing, but you can tell that they miss XXXTentacion. And they wasn't, like, they were doing, because, I mean, I guess, like, their music was a little bit different, so, yeah, they, of course, are hyped up and all that for his music and things when they're performing it. But I just remember there was this one performance when Ski Mask the Slump God, where he, it was, I'm trying to think, I think it was the song, Jocelyn Flores. I think it might have been that song, but anyways, I remember Ski Mask the Slump God. He was just sitting there, just kind of listening to the music. Like, he wasn't performing, he wasn't dancing. You can tell he had lost his best friend. He lost his brother. He lost somebody that he was extremely close. Like, he grew up with this guy. And that's the thing where it's like, you see that, and then you see Diddy at a award show dancing and all this other stuff. I'm like, man, it was really messed up. It was really messed up how he did Biggie, because I'm like, yeah, you can tell Biggie didn't want to be a part of all of that. Like, he's just, it was, because I remember there was this one, like, crime show. It was like a fiction. Well, it wasn't fictional, but it was like a like based on a true story, like, crime show where they was like talking on Biggie and Tupac and stuff. And they had that one guy, Bokeem Woodbine, where he was playing as one of the cops, and he said that how, like, even though that they were like 24 and 25, like, that's how old Biggie and Tupac was when they died. Like, these, and so no, that's what the guy said. He was like, they were a couple of kids. And, when you sit down, you think about it, and as I get older, I'm like, passing them ages, I was like, wow, like, these guys really passed away. And it's like, it hits you that you don't even get to explore life. Like, you don't get to enjoy it or any of that stuff at 24 and 25 years old. Like, your life is getting started. Like, you're opening up new doors and opportunities in your life. Like, these guys Tupac didn't even have kids. But Biggie, he ain't even gonna be able to see his, because I think he has, doesn't he have like 2 kids or something like that? Hold on for a second. Let me see real quick. He had 2 kids. And he ain't even gonna be able to see them grow up. Like, that's the messed up thing about that, so it's like, they're like family members. They're like, they ain't gonna be able to, like, grow old with him, and that, like, and that's something, like, when you lose somebody that you're close with, that's stuff that you think about. You think, like, dang, I ain't gonna be able to grow up with them and stuff, because it was a family member that passed last year, where, no, Not last. No, wait. Was it? No, yeah, no, yeah. It was last year. I had to sit down and think about it and stuff. But anyways, but no, yeah, it was because it was like, yeah, because it was when it's like halfway in the year. It's like you be thinking, but it's like I don't know why I was thinking like 2 years. I mean, it almost it might as well be in the 2 year range and stuff. But anyways, family member of mine had passed away last year, and this is a family member that was around the same age as me. It was my cousin. And yeah, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, fam, we were the same age, and I'm like, I'm not gonna this like gonna be well, no, this year was the first year where it's like, it's we ain't celebrating our birthdays and stuff. And it's like, man, it's messed up to even think of stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not celebrating. I'm not, doing no like being, and because that was another thing that he did to Biggie where I was like, Biggie deserved to have his moment. The way that Diddy put him in that situation, Biggie deserved to have his moment. But so he was supposed to be on the cover of the magazine Rolling Stone. And I guess it was something that they were, Rolling Stone was negotiating before Biggie had passed. Biggie passes. Diddy is like, oh, I'm releasing my album, so put me on the cover of Rolling Stone. At that point, I was like, any, respect that I could have potentially had for Diddy, but I lost all that respect after that Cassie video had came out. Once when that security video came out and he was beating Cassie, I was like, yeah, any respect that I had for Diddy gone out the window. Because I was like, nah, this documentary, it confirmed what I was thinking. No, like, Diddy, he is just flat out evil. That's one of those things. I'm like, anybody, I'm telling you right now, anybody that's all like going to try to jump in my comment sections and being like, oh, it wasn't all that, it was that bad. I'm only 3 episodes. No, I'm not having even fully sat down and watched the 3rd episode. But it's like, I finished 2 episodes and I've seen everything that I need to see about Diddy. I'm like, yeah, he's one of those people where I'm like, man, I don't know what it is that got in your brain that just made you just lose it. But yeah, bro, it's one of those things where I'm like, nah, you carrying on like that, and it's like for no reason and all that, like it's crazy to me, because I'm like, man, it's one of those things where it's like he's doing that at like an age that I was at one point in time, and I'm like, fam, I wasn't doing that crazy stuff, so it's like, what's his problem, so it's just, yeah, it's weird, man. But anyways, yeah, with that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching. Definitely go check out that Diddy documentary on Netflix. Because it's crazy, if you guys, if there's a friend, family, somebody somewhere where you could get some Netflix, get you some Netflix and watch that documentary, because it is a wild documentary. And and that's the thing, people are saying it gets crazier and crazier. Like, I'm not even like finished with it, and it's like, yeah, probably by the time when this episode comes out, I might be somewhat finished with it. But yeah, it's like, just the first 2 episodes was enough for me to be like, yeah, Diddy, he ain't getting no respect when he gets out of prison. If he gets out of prison, yeah, he ain't getting respect from nobody. It's like, it's definitely one of those things where it's like, his kids, they're gonna be the only ones that will show any sort of love to him. But other than that, it's like, yeah, bro, you if he does get out of prison, and I guess like, because I know that they did say that the uncle of the guy that shot and killed Tupac, that he's supposed to be going on trial next year. So if he says anything where it's gonna be a situation where it's like they find some evidence, and then Diddy has to go back to trial and all that for this case, he probably gonna get some years in prison too. It might not be a whole lot, but still, it's gonna be one of those things where it's like, yeah, no, he's gonna get some years in prison, so yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, he enjoy it, life while you can, because yeah, it's like the situation that Diddy is in. I'm like, nah, bro, you messed up a lot. So, but anyways, with that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode, and peace.